Okay, if you have opened this video, you have joined me for just a super quick tutorial on pan balance and what I'm calling the lid balance, for lack of a better term. If you have these in your school and you'd like to make use of them in your mathematics class. So we're just gonna switch to the first slide here, where we're going to take a quick look at what is a pan balance. So it may look similar to this. There's a lot of variations floating out there within our division, but this is just one example. So it can be used with solids and liquids. For the purpose of what we've been discussing today, looking at comparing relationships between quantities in a kindergarten or a grade 1 class, we would be looking to utilize a counter that has some weight to it that is also uniform. So the Unifix cubes that you gathered would be a perfect example of what you might use when you're comparing and using this tool. Teddy bear counters are another familiar tool that you might have in your classroom that would also be great for this, as long as you ensure that all your teddy bears are the same size, because they typically come in 3 sizes. So this is your typical pan balance. The other one I wanted to share with you is, again, the true name of this device escapes me, so I'm just going to call it a lid balance because it has 2 metal circular objects that are hung to a rod. They resemble a paint can lid, and it has 5 red magnets and 5 white magnets, which might look really familiar. And yes, this was created through the same research that produced the Rec and Rec. So you see those 2 colors clearly identified here. So this one can distinguish itself a little bit more. We can move beyond a whole-to-whole relationship, comparing quantities in that way, to also that part-whole relationship, or a whole part relationship. How do you do so? Well, because we're looking at using magnets on these, we can use both the front and the back of the circular shape to affix the magnets to. And so you could imagine that in order to balance the 2 red on this example, you could add 1 white to the front on the right and 1 white magnet to the back, and suddenly we have balance, where 2 red is equal to or the same as 1 and 1. Another cool feature I just want to point out to you when you look at this balance is the fact that there are 2 wooden bars at the top. So when we have an equation that is in balance, 2 and 2, for example, the 2 wooden bars at the top will show parallel. When it is not equal, then you see the same tilt that you would on any of the balances. However, this one vaguely looks like the unequal sign with that diagonal line across. So that was just something I'd like to point out. So you can model part-part relationships, and you can even use this one to solve for unknown quantities. So imagine that you have put that white magnet on the back. It's showing that it's balanced. The children now need to think about, what must be on the other side of this lid in order for this to be balanced? So a little bit more that can be done with this tool. So, I just lost my spot in my slides. So I'm going to move on here. So thinking about these manipulatives, how could you use these to model counting and comparing quantities? You could pause the video here just to think about those. I'm going to share a few of the ideas that I have as we go ahead. So I think that there are lots of opportunities to authentically consider quantities in your classroom. You could embed this as part of your attendance routine. So as children enter the classroom, they are taking an object and they are putting it into the here side, so the children who are here. Afterwards, you take all of the students who are not here, put it in the not here side, and then you can count each collection and compare. You could explore preferences. Who wants to play with snow outside? Who would like to play with snow inside at the water table? You could explore making a class decision. So imagine you are going to read the story, Stone Soup, and you have in mind that afterwards you might do a kinder cooking activity where you are actually creating your own stone soup. Prior to reading the story, again, you might give students an object that they can vote with. Would you like to try stone soup? Then you read the story, discuss it afterwards, and you ask the same question. Would you like to try stone soup now that we have read the story? See what has changed. So there are many, many, many opportunities for that authentic comparison, and you can use this tool to make that comparison easily visible. So those are my ideas. Now it's your turn. Thinking about the new curriculum, which outcomes and costs will this manipulative support? What grade levels would benefit from using this manipulative? And can you think of any additional ways it could be used? So that's it for our short segue away from the number balance to look at the pan balance and the lid balance. Hopefully that gives you a few more ideas that you can use in your classroom. And as always, don't hesitate to reach out to the math consultant assigned to your site if you would like more support with this tool or any tool in mathematics.